I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. 9 Democrats will debate tonight in the New York City mayoral race with the primary 3 weeks away. Black Mayor Eric Adams, now running as an independent, will not participate but recently criticized frontrunner Andrew Cuomo.
I spent so much time fixing the governor's mess. You know, if you look at a lot of the energy that I had to do, I had to correct what he put in place.
The 2-hour no-audience debate starts at 7 p.m. The D.C. Council passed an emergency measure to block a planned July 1st minimum wage hike for tipped workers. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser pushed to repeal the voter-approved Initiative 82, saying it burdened struggling restaurants. And big names are on this year's iHeartRadio Festival lineup. Lil Wayne, Mariah Carey, and Glorilla will all be hitting the stage in Las Vegas later this summer. This year's festival will take place September 19th and 20th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Ticket pre-sales start today with the public on sale set for Friday. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Wake up, New Orleans, and happy Thursday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanti Sawaya. Shout out to my super producer, the Nyra Sanders.
Nyra.
My co-pilot this morning, Will Sutton. Hey,
Good
Will.
morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans.
It's a wonderful Thursday. We have a wonderful lineup. Right now in studio, we have Lance Robert Jr. He is a 16-year-old publisher with his first poetry book entitled Untitled. Good morning, Mr. Lance. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I'm blessed to be here. I love New Orleans. This is my motherland. My grandparents, their grandparents are from here. Everybody is from New Orleans. So I'm blessed to be here. Blessed to be back.
We're happy to hear it. Good to see you again, cuz.
And look, you're rooted in the soil. So you New Orleans, too, whether you want to accept it or not. This is absolutely
they all
your
loved
home.
it. I went to his birthday party last year. It was a big thread of New Orleans culture throughout the birthday party.
That was your 16th birthday?
Oh, yeah.
You did it big?
Oh, we did it big.
Yeah, how was your birthday? What was the theme of your birthday?
It was great. It was a rites of passage.
You seem like a theme guy. How did I know that? How did I know that? Well, Lance is here, and Lance has a book. The cover of the book is exquisite. I love it already. I'm sure there's a story behind the cover. Can you talk to us about the cover?
Oh, certainly so. Now, my mom made the cover, I believe when I was about 9 years old. Yeah, it's actually entitled LJ at 9 is the name of that artwork. And no, it's just really significant because my mom is very expressive in everything that she does. And I think that that's something that she passed on to me in my poems. In fact, one of the ones that I'll actually later on read for you today is a very expressive poem. I call them psychedelic poems in some sense because they really bring out the inner emotions, like the existentialism, right? And so I think that that sort of manifests what a lot of the poems in the book are like, right? Very colorful, very vibrant, and, very manifesting the inward self.
Well, listen, in full transparency, I'm surrounded by a bloodline in here because Lance Robert Jr. is sitting across from Mr. Lance Robert Sr., who's sitting across from the Will Sutton, and all of them are cousins. So I told Lance when he walked in, I said, hey, cousin, because if you're from New Orleans, you know we all cousins, once, twice, 3 times removed.
Yep.
It's all blood here. But Lance, you're only 16 years old. And you're already on track to graduate with 6 associate degrees. Can you walk us through what motivated you to pursue such an ambitious academic path?
Well, I live by the philosophy that there's nothing I can't do. And so I don't ascribe to what anybody tells me. In fact, I've had tons of experiences where people have told me, sometimes very blatantly, that I'm not enough and that I'm doing too much. I was in...
Always do too much. Always do too much, because most people who tell you you're doing too much, they're not doing enough. Always do too much. So
These words of wisdom from a experienced and respected educator in New Orleans and this region.
Thank you, Will. I think that you are an exemplar of the type of Black child that the world doesn't want folk to believe exist, right? We are caricatured in all sorts of ways, but they never really lift us up to exemplify all of the academic excellence that we are born with. Mm-hmm. And I say born with because you wrote your first poem at what age?
3 years old.
3 years old. People, 3. 1, 2, 3.
3.
3 years old.
3.
And I mean, that is something to be admired. And you give young Black boys something to aspire to, because we're not a monolith. Black folk come in all shapes, sizes, colors, hues, academic prowess. We are that, and you are that. And I'm so glad that you never allowed that to sit in your spirit and let somebody tell you who you were. You seem to know who you are, which is something that I think is extremely powerful. So I'm just telling you right now, I'm in awe of you already, and I've only been talking to you for 2.3 seconds. But what has your experience been like balancing high school and college level coursework through your dual enrollment at Los Angeles Harbor College?
Well, again, it's all been philosophy. I mean, everything you do starts in the mind. My dad, since I was probably 6 years old, probably around the same time that I wrote that first poem, has instilled in me the philosophy of learn and improve. So every single day before I go to school, he tells me one thing: learn and improve. Or he might say, what are you going to do today? And then I have to respond, learn and improve. You know, that's Black culture, call and response, right?
Affirmation.
So affirmation.
Affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Affirmation. And so my dad, again, from a young age, has just affirmed me. And so when you're affirmed, that's a very powerful thing, right? And so I feel like I've been affirmed all my life, and that has just allowed me to really kickstart, every big thing that I writing a book, I think, is something for which, I've really needed motivation, and I think I get that from everywhere. I've just been so blessed for everyone that's around me in my circle has affirmed me.
So, LJ is my second cousin. His dad, Lance, is my first cousin. So I've known LJ his entire life. I've known his dad his entire life. And I've watched you grow, and it's just been remarkable through the ages and the stages with your mom and your dad, especially your dad saying something you did, and I'm like, what? How old is he again? And I think that lines up with what Dr. Wyatt is saying. Our kids have something in them, and it's up to us to bring it out of them. You've been very fortunate that your parents pour into you every day. And so at home in Carson, you have that immediate village of 3, and then you have an extended village through the schools which I visited. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, that village, that schools, and that's what schools can be, is a village that extends beyond a particular class or a classroom or a building. And I've seen and experienced that. And you also have the 100 Black Men village, where you have grown up in some other ways, including a national financial literacy competition. Can you tell us about that experience, going to New York Stock Exchange?
It was an experience. It certainly was. Now, I think what that really taught me is how to work on a team, right? Because a lot of the stuff, the fruits I bear today in the form of these books that I've brought, it was an individual effort. I mean, my mom did, read through the poems, just to make, you always have to have, peer reviewers. But for the most part, of course, I wrote all of these poems myself. And so that was practice in some sense in my individual efforts. But I think what working on a team in winning the national competition taught me is that we can't do this alone, right? And that people have different skill sets, and that instead of using that as a way of incongruence or of fighting with each other, you can use differing skill sets to the overall advantage of the team, right? You know, if everybody's offering something different to the table, that can be combined in such a way that the team can do a broader range of things because there's a broader range of skills.
Tell them what your team was competing for.
So we were competing for, it was a preliminary competition that was called the Stock Market Game. Shout out to the SIPMA Foundation for proctoring that. But basically, we were given $100,000 of simulation money, and we were given a simulation of the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ stock markets. And we were instructed to buy stocks and to sell stocks and to make money from that. And so with the market fluctuations, there was a lot of day trading, so not a lot of, you know, the more sustainable type Coca-Colas, right? So it was a lot of the NVIDIAs and the stocks that, you know, the industries for which Trump was deregulating and whatnot. But basically, that was a preliminary competition, and then we placed within the top 5. We placed in 3rd place, and then they took the top 5 teams to a national competition for which you had to give a speech and a presentation on what you did to be successful in the preliminary competition. And we ended up winning 1st place in that.
And you went to the New York Stock Exchange.
And then we got invited to the New York Stock Exchange, and I went on CNBC. It was amazing.
Congratulations. I think lived experiences are the foundational pillars of what build us up, and it is our reference point. It's actually how we determine what our pathway is. Lived experiences are so valuable, and it really shows you that access to things is what really matters. Kids need access. They need exposure. So I appreciate that you've had all of that. How has this partnership or the influence of the 100 Black Men of America shaped your existence?
Wow. Well, from, again, the time basically I wrote this poem, I've been involved in it. I mean, my dad is the president of the 100 Black Men of Long Beach. And so ever since I was, again, about 3 and 4 years old, he's been taking me to the sessions. And I guess talking back to what I said about philosophy is the 100 Black Men's philosophy is what they see is what they'll be. And I think that the 100 Black Men has modeled what it means to be a man, a Black man in this world. And it's really has been a counter to the types of stereotypes you see in the media, right? Of Black men are absent. Black men are gangsters, right? You know, and so I've gotten to see Black men in suits, right? I've gotten to see Black men who own businesses, who own real estate, who own stocks, right? Black men who provide for their communities. Black men who are not individualistic, but who serve their communities, who make it their responsibility to give back to their community, who fear God, right? So Christian men, right? So I've just had so many examples, and I think that has to have been one of the most important things is good examples, because I really think that that's a big reason why people are led astray in today's society, is that they don't have an example. No one has modeled what it means. No one has shown them that there is more possible, right? Their vision is limited to the extent of what I get from selling drugs, or the extent of what I get from doing drugs, or, you know, just any other delinquency. But the 100 has opened my mind up to the fullness of just everything. Just the whole world is at my fingertips, is what they've showed me.
And now you're a mentee with the 100 Black Men organization, and I know the conference kicked off today. Do you have a role at the conference that you'd like to discuss?
I do. I'm going to be a panelist. So it's a panel on intergenerational. It's a bit of a tongue twister there.
You did it.
So yeah, it's intergenerationalism. And so they wanted me because, you know, being 16, I'm from the younger generation. And then they also have people that are, you know, going to be more senior citizens. And so
elders.
Yeah,
right. More mature. Yes.
Seasoned individuals.
Seasoned. I like that word.
Individuals is probably a better word.
Yes.
But no, yeah. So And I think that really emphasizes that it's different. Well, I'll say one thing, right? This book is dedicated to my grandfather. He passed away on December 27th, 2024. And one of the reasons that I wrote the book is because of him and his influence on me. He was a poet, and I could talk on for an hour about him, so I'll spare you all the details. But basically, what I want to say about him is that every single time I talked to him, he talked about how much I meant to him, that I reminded him of himself when he was younger. And the way I've analyzed that is because he was a Vietnam War veteran, he had PTSD, and that really hindered him in achieving his goal. He had so many wild dreams that he would speak of, but he couldn't do any of that stuff. You know, he didn't have a stable job, again, PTSD, but I think he let that live in me, right? And I have a poem about that, actually. Whenever we would talk, he would always just pour into me, and he would talk about these crazy things. And I thought originally that he was talking about, you know, because he was talking about going on tours around the world, being a famous musician, you know, and it's like, that sounds delusional, right? Of course, you know, he's not going to be able to, but I realized he wants that to live in me. He wants that dream to continue, and he wants me to be the best version of myself in his honor. It is what, and then now that he's transitioned, you know, to a better place, it's really, you know, just I'm thinking back to the fact that he always told me that he was just so proud of me, and that he always loved to talk to me because it reminded him of a time when he did not have PTSD, of a time when he had the world ahead of him and it was not inhibited by, you know, the terrible things that he had to witness, you know, in Vietnam. And
Can
we
you
hear a poem?
can you that's exactly what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Can you bless
Before
us
you go?
with a poem before you
Certainly.
have to leave us?
In fact, now, God has put something on my mind here, because I was going to read one poem, but now I'm wanting to read the poem about my grandfather. So I'm going to read that poem instead. So
Okay.
it's called Tell Me What I Need to Know. And that was his catchphrase. It was tell me what I need to know. And that was his voicemail box. Tell me what, it literally just tell me what I need to know. It would confuse everybody.
I like it.
Tell me what I need to know. My grandpa had an opinion on just about everything. How do I know this? Every Sunday morning I give him a ring. Well, not only I, but my mom as well. Every Sunday morning was show and tell. What I mean by this is that he came prepared. My grandpa had a script for every conversation. He'd quiz me on the colors, then differential equations. Then he'd read a poem, just one, probably two. But soon he'd surely ask me, "Can I hear from you?" Reciprocity was his groove. I'd mumble about my day, or competitive spoils. Then with the wisdom of the ancestors, he'd fertilize the soils of my mind, my heart, my soul, bringing affirmation to my goals. Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad were all the same person. He'd share the 7 virtues of Ma'at from the Kemetic peoples in Africa, or at least his version. Now that was his word, but as he'd say, each generation got their own groove, therefore he looked forward to Sunday. 'Cause I reminded him of him at a simpler time in life. I reminded him of him before he had PTSD. So as we celebrate my grandpa and who he sought to be, let's enter the place he tried his whole life to return to. As his spirit is set free, let's be the best version of ourselves in his honor. And from him we can learn to be cool, be smooth, live by principles, that's the groove. Fall back on the creator. Let him tell us where we need to go. And perhaps we'll change our voicemails to tell me what I need to know.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
This is me. I would do this, but they can't hear that. So
Yeah, right.
I'm going to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beautiful.
That's awesome, man.
It's
That's
extremely beautiful. And I
Beautiful.
want to thank you once again for joining us this morning. And I'm in awe of you. I think that we need more of you all over this place, because there are so many representations of what Black boys and Black men and who they are, and we don't see enough of this. We know who we are, and we can't allow the media to shape the narrative about Black folk, especially our youth. So thank you for that. If you're just joining us, you missed a dynamic conversation with the young phenom, Lance Robert Jr. He's on track to earn 6 associate degrees. He's a mentor, He's an author, and he's a member of the 100 Black Men who are in town.
And
It's important that we say that they're in
community
town.
bookstore signing?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
on Tuesday. It's Tuesday from 12:45 to 2:45 at Community Bookstore.
Shout out to
And
Mama
Mama
Vera
Vera.
and Mama Jen over at Community Bookstore. Thank you so much. If someone wanted to get a copy of your book, where can we find it?
So on Amazon, you can search up Untitled, a book of poems, or you can go to roarpublishing.org, or specifically roarpublishing.org/untitled. So that's Untitled, a book of poems. And if you just search that up, you should find it.
Or they can go to community bookstore.
Or go to Community Bookstore on Tuesday at 12:45.
And you'll
It's there
have
right
some
now.
copies available to purchase.
There will be
You gonna
copies
do a
available to
reading?
purchase. It's there right now. You can go right now. It's
Oh,
there.
it's there right now? Are you going to
Okay.
do a reading, Will's asking?
Yes, we will do a reading.
That is very special. Lance Robert Jr., thank you so much for joining us this morning on WBOK. Listen, if you're an avid listener, you know that each and every Thursday is Troy Carter Thursdays, Congressman Troy Carter Thursdays here on the Good Morning Show. And what better segue to the congressman than the young phenom Lance Robert Jr., 16-year-old author of the book Untitled. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for your parents and who they were to you. And I know that you'll continue to carry that torch. So thank you for being here. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll hear directly from our congressman right here on WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to
All day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by Lowe's. Alexia Gibson has built an empire on sea malls and got a big leg up because of ABC's Shark Tank. Gibson started the business because he believed in the health benefits of sea malls. While it was in its early stages, he appeared on Shark Tank and caught the attention of Mark Cuban alongside comedian Kevin Hart. Gibson spoke to Bloomberg about how getting a thumbs up from Cuban was exactly what he was hoping for.
I went there wanting Mark from the beginning, but he technically always invests in technology companies, so I knew with me with a supplement brand it would have been a stretch, but he came back at the end of the show and nudged Kevin Hart and said, hey, let's do this together. Yeah. And I was like, there's no way I could say no to that.
Today, Gibson serves as president and CEO of the Transformation Factory, which boasts over 20,000 regular sea moss buyers. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item. Current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
We are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Shanta Wyatt. Shout out to my co-pilot this morning, D. Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
If you just joined in the conversation, you missed an exquisite interview with a 16-year-old phenom and author, Mr. Lance Robert Jr., part of the 100 Black Men organization, whose conference is in town this week.
Continuing
right now,
through Saturday.
Until Saturday. But right now, as you know, it's Thursday. Each and every Thursday is Congressman Troy Carter Thursdays here on WBOK. So we want to welcome our Congressman to the Good Morning Show. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Wyatt. Good morning, Brother Sutton.
Good morning, Congressman.
It's always really, really good to hear from you. How's your morning been so far?
It's going well. You know, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on here in the nation's capital. Always happy to be with both of you and all of the incredible listeners at WBOK.
Well, thank you for being here.
This Job Corps thing is really bothering me. So, I just heard about this a couple of days ago. I am not surprised because it seems like every day we hear something about a move that is damaging people. So I'm going to shut up and fill in our listeners about what's going on with the Job Corps. What is Job Corps and why is this a problem?
Well, this is another one of those promises made, promises kept in the Trump Project 2025. The things that we went throughout the state and country telling people the reason it was so important to vote, because this very thought out evil plan to demolish those systems that have given opportunities for so many people to prepare themselves, educate themselves, restart themselves in many ways to have a better life. That this administration sees all those things as a threat. Any tool that's being used to improve the lives, particularly of minorities, seems to be targeted by this administration. The Department of Labor recently announced that it would be cutting funds for AmeriCorps, which is the parent to Job Corps. This is going to affect more than 100 students in New Orleans, but beyond just that, throughout the whole country, the residual effect of cutting these funds, of shutting down Job Corps. Job Corps is a program that provides and gives out people an opportunity to learn a trade, a skill, to come back and have an opportunity. It provides young students with job training, education, essential life skills. I've had the opportunity on many occasions to visit, to be the commencement speaker for Job Corps, going back many years now, back when Sidney Bartholomew was mayor. That just tells you how far and how long my history with Job Corps is and my support for it. When we first heard of this, we wrote a letter to the president and to Secretary DeRemer saying what a tragedy and demanding that these funds be restored because of the impact that it has on the lives of so many people. This is a program that really has hardcore data that shows that it's making a difference. Job Corps has been around and has been successful and has been responsible for giving people an opportunity to better themselves. Why would you want to cut this? So as recent as just a couple of days ago, we had a temporary win. We're in court, and there was a temporary hold on this. As you hear me talk every week, I tell you about the 3 C's, the Congress, the courts, and the community. Here's another case where the courts is doing its job in pushing back against these cuts to make sure that these facilities, these organizations, these offerings that are so important to our community isn't cut. So we'll continue to fight. Listen, we're never giving up. We're going to fight this to the end. We're going to fight through the midterms when we take over again, and we're going to fight this until we get a chance to take the White House back. Cannot express enough the importance of watching this every day and fighting against this every day, being clear that this is Project 2025 in its worst form.
So am I right that it's the first week of June and they'll be out of work out of their training by the end of the month?
Well, it depends. Now there was just a court action 2 days ago.
Okay.
So it's going to depend on what happens there. So everything is really still in a holding pattern. As you know, this administration doesn't always listen to the courts. So we are going to be watching this very, very closely, and I'll be happy to report back to you. Hopefully next Thursday when we come back, we'll have some good news if the court's action stays. Right now, there's a temporary hold, which is good news. Now we'll see how long that lasts. Now, just to be clear, that letter I wrote to the president, obviously we never got a response. The letter I wrote to the secretary, I got a passive response that said that they would get back with me. Nothing has happened. So we're going to continue. We're going to stay in the president's orbit. We're going to stay in the secretary's orbit. We're going to fight from the House floor, from the community, and from the courts.
Well, keep up the fight.
It's a tragedy when you think of a program. You know, here's a man who says, I'm the least racist person in the world. Give me a break. Your words mean nothing. Your actions mean everything. You're dismantling or attempting to dismantle anything from Medicaid to Medicare to SNAP programs to educational systems to AmeriCorps, Job Corps. All things that DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, have somehow been made into a bad word. Help me understand this. You can't make this stuff up. This is pure, unadulterated, evil, racist actions. And we as Americans, particularly African Americans, have to wake up and band together and stop hating on each other, love each other more, and demonstrate that when we band together, no one can beat us. It's when we're fractured that we are damaged. It's when we are forced to turn against each other. We've got to unify. We've got to vote. We've got to stop talking about each other and start talking more to each other.
So it's National Men's Health Month, and you co-chair the Men's Health Caucus in Congress, right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about what you all are doing and what this means for Black men and health generally.
So June is Men's Health Month, period. And I'm proud to be the co-chair of the Men's Health Caucus. This is a bipartisan caucus with Representative Rich McCormick, Neil Dunn, Ted Lieu, and Rob Menendez. The whole idea of this caucus is to shine the light on men's health, to demonstrate the importance of taking care of ourselves, our bodies, our minds, our spirituality, our emotional well-being. You know, our sisters, women, because of the complexities of their bodies, are accustomed to seeing doctors early on and regularly. Men, on the other hand, we tend to only go to the doctor if we're like really, really sick, or if we've broken a bone or something that requires that we have no choice but to see a doctor. So, you know, we bought into the macho thing, big boys don't cry, suck it up, you'll be okay. And as a result of that, we have many health concerns that go unchecked that develop into greater health concerns. The importance of this caucus is to remind people that, yeah, you've got to go to the doctor. You've got to pay attention to your health. You've got to take prostate tests to make sure that you aren't developing cancer, because if you catch prostate early enough, it's curable. Yet it is one of the leading causes of cancer in America, particularly in our communities. So it's about preventive care. It's about understanding that mental health is health. So many people think that if you have you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have some mental imbalance, that means you're crazy. Oh, I don't need to see a psychiatrist. I'm not crazy. No, man, it's not that. We've got to end the stigma around the need for counseling or help. It's no different than if you have any other health need. You see a doctor, you get prescribed medicine, you exercise, you change your diet. If you have high blood pressure or diabetes, you take your medicine, you seek medical attention, you see a doctor, you exercise, you diet, you change your lifestyle. The exact same thing is true with mental health. If you have issues of depression or other issues of anxiety or other issues of imbalance, that's why they're professionals to help you. Professionals who can prescribe medicine, that can prescribe a change of diet, exercise, and things that will make the voices go away or make you feel better. You're not as depressed or anxious. But we seem to think, no, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and it'll go away. No, it doesn't. It only gets worse. If you're in a room of 10 people, 7 of them are suffering with some form of mental health, and maybe 2 of them are actually doing something about it. Those are horrible statistics. We will be a better, healthier, stronger people when we take care of ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. So Men's Health Caucus is designed to do just that, to encourage preventive care, to bring light to issues affecting men's health, encourage men to be tested, and to do proactive instead of curative. Proactive care is a lot cheaper than once you're already sick, and it's a lot better. The outcome is a lot better for you to come out whole and healthy if we do this early and catch it ahead of time. And unfortunately, in the Black community, this is even a bigger issue across the board. So it's a task that I'm very proud to be chair of, very proud to bring resources, have noted physicians and experts to gather regularly to talk about legislation like the PSA for HIMSS Act, which is a bill that I've sponsored, which will give easier access to men that are in affected areas, men that have low income, men that are high risk, to be able to get free screenings regularly, which will allow us to catch cancer before it's an issue, correct it, and allow people to go on with the rest of their lives. So the Men's Health Caucus is a very important aspect of being able to keep our people healthy.
So, Congressman, I'm interested in hearing that a lot of the folk who voted for the big ugly bill are now saying that they wouldn't have voted for it had they known what was in it. In particular, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been very vocal about certain line items on certain pages that she did not like, and she said if it stays that way, she won't continue to support the bill. What do you make of these folk voting for something that they didn't actually understand or know that they were voting for?
They should resign. They should resign today. Because let me tell you, if this had been a member of the Democratic caucus or a member of the Black caucus, they'd be on Main Street screaming and yelling. They'd be saying, "Oh, what a horrible travesty this is. They didn't even read the bill." Blah 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 blah. So I got two schools of thought here. Bear with me. One is, if you didn't read the bill, shame on you. You are an elected member of Congress and you're voting on things that are killing people. Number two, you can say you didn't read the bill. We told you what was in the bill, even if you didn't read it yourself. We screamed from committees. We had 24, 35-hour round-the-clock sessions. We did it from the House floor. We did it from the committees. We did it from social media. We did it with op-eds. We did it with press conferences. We did it with rallies. We went all over telling you, let's assume you didn't read the bill. We told you it was there. We told you it was there. So now you have this epiphany. Oh, that's in the bill? Well, how do you have a job and your principal responsibility is to vote on legislation that will impact people's lives, and a part of voting on it is you should know what's in it, but you don't? That's malpractice. That's malfeasance. If you did that in your job, if either of you did that in your job, you'd be fired.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I absolutely agree with you wholeheartedly. She made the excuse of saying that the copy of the bill in its entirety only comes to you guys at like at the last minute, so to speak. So she didn't have time to read the bill. Do you not have a team of folk who help you go through the documents prior to you making a decision on whether you're going to vote it up or down?
Of course you do, but here's what you also have. You have the ability to say, we're not voting on this today because we haven't read it yet. See, we don't have that power because they're in control. Republicans have that power because they are in control. They could say to the Speaker of the House, who controls when the bill is released and how long you have to read it. All she had to say was, Mr. Speaker, I'm not prepared to vote. And if I don't have more time, I'm going to vote no. Guess what she would have gotten?
More
time. Got more time.
Right.
So I'm not buying any of this, woe is me, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't read the bill. The next part of my school of thought is they knew what was in it, but now they're getting heat. Now the reality and the chickens are coming home to roost. And now they have to answer, how could you have voted for something like this? And so now they're falling on, oh, I didn't know it was there. Okay, we're going to give you a chance to find out, because when that bill comes back from the Senate, let's see if you vote for it again.
And the thing that was very telling.
It isn't over.
Right. But the thing that was very telling, Congressman, is she didn't have issues with the cuts to Medicaid and the cuts to all of these programs. She had an issue with a specific line on a specific page that really wasn't the real meat of what the issues are with the bill. But she was saying that particular thing she didn't know was in there, and she's not going to vote for it as it stands. If it doesn't come back with some sort of edits, she won't continue to support it. But we have Reverend Calhoun online, too.
So
good morning, Rev. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Before he comes on, so she's doubling down on lunacy.
Yes.
Because what she's saying is she's still going to support cutting Medicaid for veterans, senior citizens, children, and the poor, and those who are living with disabilities. But what she doesn't like is a part in there that says that AI will not be regulated by the states for 10 years.
Yes. That's what was telling for me. It's like you're going on this whole press tour about you not apologizing for not reading the bill. You didn't know what that line was in it, but you make no mention of all of these deep cuts that is really going to impact people's livelihoods, if not their actual lives. And so that's what was telling to me. I still thought it was asinine for her to go on this tour and not really talk about the real reasons why the Democrats are opposed to the bill itself. But Reverend Calhoun has joined the call. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. You're on with Congressman Troy Carter.
Good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
We need to go to the food lab and get them fried ribs before they put it on the unhealthy list.
All right, Rev.
Congressman, my question is real simple. Does the government have to pay any repercussions when they cancel a contract? The one they had with the USDA, where they was taking down, they're going to take food out of children's mouth. I think it's in North Carolina. Once they make an agreement and they sign an agreement, does the president have that authority to just say we're going to cancel the contract and they don't? It's over with. I'm not understanding how legally they can just come in and take over the contract and say that it's no longer valid. So if you could help me understand what's going on with that, because we're looking at a lot of things in that bill that will go away if that bill anyway survives. So I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you so much, Rev. Congressman.
Thank you, Rev. And the answer is very clearly, we don't believe the president has the authority to do what he's doing. We have said it from day one, and we continue to challenge it. The Constitution is very clear on who has the power of the purse. Many of these appropriations were made by the United States Congress, and the president cannot undo, is our firm belief. And that is the reason that we are pressing and taking these actions to court. But in our system of checks and balances, the effectiveness of being able to check the president depends on the independence of the three branches. The president boasts that, of course, he's the president, So he controls the White House, the executive branch. He boasts that he controls the House because Mike Johnson is his hand-picked speaker, and he boasts that he controls the Senate because Senator Thune is his hand-picked head of the Senate. And now he's boasting that because he has appointed a majority of the members of the Supreme Court, or at least a majority of them are favorable to him, that he controls it too. That in lies the theory and the practical statement, that factual statement rather, that we are in a constitutional crisis because the checks and balance system are out of balance. So while I agree with you fully, and most people who understand the Constitution and the rule of law who care to admit it agree that this president has taken huge oversteps in his actions, rather it's to AmeriCorps, Job Corps, USAID, or any of the other agencies that are out there that are doing great work, that his attempt to ratchet back their funding is patently unconstitutional and wrong, and we'll continue to fight it. But our battles are tough, and we want to be clear with the American people that the courts have to do its job. That's the safety net. That's the guardrails. When the guardrails are damaged, things come off the track. And this president is every day trying to damage the guardrails. So we will continue to fight against with the courts to make sure they do their jobs, because that's the final frontier, if you will, of enforcing the Constitution.
Well, Congressman, we always appreciate you being here, and we have to take a break. But when we come back, I would love to hear your stance on this Elon Musk, Donald Trump issue that they're now having. Even Elon Musk is saying that the folk who voted for the big ugly bill have voted to further hurt the country, and it's going to undermine all of the work that he did at DOGE. I would love to know what your stance is there. So stay with us. And if you're just joining us, it's Congressman Troy Carter Thursdays here at WBOK. And if you want to join the conversation, the number is 504-582-9422. We'll be back after the break. This is WBOK 1230 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank. There's freedom here.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans. We are back. Happy Thursday, pre-Friday day. It's Thursday. And the talk line is 504-582-9422, 9422. We're talking to Congressman Troy Carter. And Dr. Wyatt was asking you about to weigh in on the Trump and Musk fight as Mr. Musk was leaving the White House and has now been criticizing the impact of the big, ugly bill. What are your thoughts,
Well, because I think they realize the big, ugly bill is even uglier than they thought. And Musk having apparently a sober moment, realizing that he too has been duped. But sadly, as Dr. Wyatt said a moment ago about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the angst is not about the damage they're doing to poor people. The angst is not about the damage this bill does to veterans and senior citizens and children. The angst is not about the Medicaid, Medicare, and health benefits it takes away from millions of people. What it really is about now is about what it does to the debt, which is another part that we've talked about. It takes a national debt through the ceiling. And all these Republicans who claim that they want to be fiscal conservative and fiscally responsible, Musk is now saying, wait a minute, this is the worst bill I've ever seen. Because what this bill has in it is measures that will borrow and put us in debt into the future. Instead of ratcheting back where we were under the Biden administration, ratcheting back on the national debt and trying to get a handle on our indebtedness into generations and generations, this big, ugly bill, which now Musk is calling an abomination, and that's exactly what it is, because it hurts everyday working people. And not only does it hurt the everyday working people, it puts us in a upside down deficit spending for generations to come. And so the question I ask is, Mr. Musk, you're just getting around to reading it too? So you go across the country doing all this stuff, and then you realize, oh, I didn't realize that was in this bill. But you know what? We'll take it any way we can. Here's the reality. Musk is right. This is a trash bill. It's a big, ugly bill. It's going to hurt Americans. It's going to hurt working Americans. It's going to hurt Democrats and Republicans. It's going to hurt people all over our country. All for what? Tax breaks for the richest of the rich.
So,
tax breaks for the richest of the rich. So this big, ugly bill, Elon Musk, who was once the number one cheerleader for Trump, who spent $250 million of his own money to help Trump get elected, now realizes that Trump is a chump and that this is wrong. And that's why they're calling him Taco, because you cannot play games with the American people's lives based on some fallacy that you want to be king. This is America, and people deserve service, and that's why we have government. And I can't underscore enough that Republicans are going to hurt from this just as much as Democrats. So we have to be unified and recognize this guy, President Trump, is not good for America, plain and simple. And Donald Trump, and Elon Musk, who was his number one cheerleader, is recognizing that too. I hope he spends another $250 million reminding people what a mistake they made for voting for him.
Congressman, I'm interested in knowing the dangers of what the access that Elon Musk had, and now they're in sort of this kind of like breakup, so to speak. Do you think that this will have any negative implications on how the country progresses forward with the information that he's had access to, and now that they're basically in a cat fight, so to speak? Do you see that this being played out on a national stage as well?
Absolutely. The danger of any non-elected, non-vetted, non-classified proof individual having access to the Americans' personal data is dangerous under every scenario that's painted. We have said it, we have fought it, and Trump gave him keys to the store. And now he has that data, and you can't take it back. So now that he and Trump appear to be at odds, at least on this matter, depending on how further this goes, how do you take back the grandma's recipe? You can't. He has it now. And it just further exasperates the fact that that the notion that this unelected billionaire could have access was always unconstitutional, improper, and I think malfeasance. But again, we have to now deal with the atrocities of what this president has done and continues to do to America. All the more reason why we all have to be ever vigilant in fighting every single day to minimize the pain, the threat, the danger that this administration causes, and then boot up and be ready to replace these members of Congress who are clearly not on the side of the majority of the American people, and then replace this president and then begin the process of trying to undo all of the harm that he's caused, much of which may already be irreparable harm.
And this the other thing that I wanted you to touch, because I know we have to let you go in a minute, but there have been reports that the January 6th insurrectionists are now cosplaying as ICE agents, which is why they're covering their face. They're not identifying themselves. They don't have badges of any kind. And there are people in the government who are justifying them wearing the mask by saying that the agents are being doxxed and threats are being made to their families. But there's legitimate evidence out there that is saying that they have hired the January 6th insurrectionists as ICE agents. Can you speak to that?
There's active investigations to determine if there's validity to those claims. If those claims are accurate, once again, that's malfeasance. Once again, that's a demonstration that you don't care about the American people. Once again, that demonstrates that this president wants a dictatorship and not a democracy. To take criminals who defiled our nation's capital on January 6th, who came in and beat up and harmed law enforcement agents, who literally trespassed and broke in and defiled the nation's capital. These are criminals. These are not peaceful protesters. And to think that they would be given, it's bad enough that they've been pardoned of crimes of causing bodily harm and death to law enforcement agents, putting members of Congress, including the Vice President of the United States, at risk, and had them running in fear of their life because of these vigilantes and insurrectionists, and the thought that somehow they will be empowered with any law enforcement authority is criminal in and of itself. We continue to seek evidence to determine that, and once again, we will fight with every tool that we have. The challenge, again, is the Republicans control the House, Senate, and the White House. And so we have to stay vigilant. We have to keep fighting. Listen, they may have the vote, but we have our voice, and we're going to keep using it, as evidenced by the fact that we're fighting this big, ugly bill. And I think we're on the right track to significantly slowing it down and changing it drastically, if not killing it completely in the U.S. Senate. So we've got to keep the pressure on. That third C of community is working. Continue to make those phone calls, those text messages. Use your social media. Call out our members of the Republican Party, our Speaker, our President of the Senate. Call out our members who voted for this big, ugly bill, and ask them to recant. Tell them we're watching. We depend on them to protect and defend all citizens, not just one group, and that we're watching, that we're going to pay attention, and we're going to be going to the polls again. So the third C is important, that we continue to keep the community engaged, because these actions of this big, ugly bill are real, and they're going to kill people. When I say kill, literally, when millions of people lose their health care, when rural hospitals close down, with people who are living with disabilities and mom and dad who have to now go to work and leave the house because they can no longer afford to have around-the-clock care for you, or for you to be in a facility, what's going to happen to those people? They're going to die. And we've got to fight to make sure that does not happen.
Well, Congressman, you know, I am ever grateful for you. I think the folk here in the state of Louisiana, particularly in New Orleans, we are ever grateful for you. And thank you for being on the front lines, making certain that we have a fighter in Washington on behalf of us. So thank you for all you do to serve your constituency. And thank you for joining us each and every Thursday right here on WBOK.
God bless you. God bless WBOK. We'll all look forward to seeing you in D.C.
Yep, I'll see you next week.
God bless you guys. Look, keep doing great work. You're providing a venue and a voice makes the difference. God bless you, Dr. Wyatt. God bless you, Brother Will. God bless WBOK. And to all the listeners out there, don't be discouraged. Just keep fighting. We're going to be okay. We can never, ever quit.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Have a blessed one. Listen, we have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll hear from Dan Mills, Chief Executive Officer at Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans, talking about hurricane season 2025 preparation and a storm prep recap event right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. New Schools for New Orleans is committed to keeping and finding great teachers for our students in Orleans Parish. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a teacher for the 25-26 school year, let us help you. We've created the New Orleans Teacher Job Board, which is the official job platform of public schools in New Orleans. You can apply to any school in the city. Simply post your resume and provide information about yourself. Visit our website to learn more and apply. www.neworleansteacherjobboard.org.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. An HBCU Hampton University staffer is under investigation after a student posted a video accusing them of demanding sex for grades. Several students spoke anonymously to Wavy News 10, fearing backlash.
I did not want this to tarnish the reputation of the university. I felt like the entire situation was unfortunate.
The university says it's investigating and offering mental health support. Black Newark, New Jersey Mayor Ras Baraka is suing after what he calls his egregious arrest last month outside of an ICE facility. He accuses U.S. Attorney Alina Habba of false arrest, defamation, and acting as a political operative. And Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass will not have to testify in a homelessness lawsuit after subpoenas were pulled. The LA Alliance for Human Rights sued the city for allegedly failing to meet a deal requiring nearly 13,000 beds by 2027. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White. My co-pilot this morning is Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
If you're just joining us, you missed conversations with our congressman, the one and only Troy Carter. He calls in each and every Thursday to WBOK 12:30 a.m. And if you want to know what is going on in this country, you should tune in each and every Thursday to hear directly from your congressman right here on the airwaves of WBOK. But right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Dan Mills, Chief Executive Officer at Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans, talking about hurricane season 2025 preparation and the storm prep recap. Good morning, Mr. Mills. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Good morning, Dan. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me so much, Dr. White.
No, thank you for being here. You're also on with Will Sutton. I guess my very first question would be, even without even thinking about it, there is a new FEMA director, and he espoused that he didn't even know that hurricanes had a season. And that makes me, as a citizen of this state, really fearful of what may happen if we have to experience anything close to a Hurricane Katrina. Where does that put us in terms of storm prep, preparing for hurricanes, when we have a federal government that may not be able to assist us?
You know, for those of us that have lived here for decades like I have, I think the phrase, "you're doing a heck of a job, Brownie," is going to ring true with a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So I have concerns. However, I have also worked with emergency management throughout Louisiana, and everyone that I have spoken with feels very strongly that we have excellent plans in place to deal with disasters as they arrive, that the funding is likely to be there, but it is absolutely certain that we are seeing fewer resources coming from FEMA, and floodplain management is in Jefferson Parish and in New Orleans are also concerned about support from FEMA as the hurricane season arrives.
Yeah, I think that any person who lives where hurricanes are a norm should be extremely concerned about the state of what is happening federally, because we all depend on those resources and that assistance should we find ourselves in a situation like a Katrina or an Ida. So, now that Storm Prep 2025 has wrapped up, how would you describe the overall success of the event?
The event was really good, and you make a great point about dealing with hurricane season. The most important thing and the best way to avoid having challenges when these storms arrive is to be prepared in advance. And that's what Storm Prep was all about. We had multiple vendors providing services in all sorts of different ways to help people prepare their homes and prepare their lives in the event that something comes. So just to give you an example, we have elderly individuals that are in our homes. So we had Assuring Hearts MedPass was one of the vendors that was there to help residents understand what options are available for evacuating and taking care of elderly neighbors and elderly family members. But of course, we think about roofs, and so we had roofing vendors that were out there so that residents know who to call to get that roof replaced before the storm arrives, right? So you can have a resilient code-based roof, or you can have a fortified roof installed so that when the hurricane season comes, you don't experience the trauma of that loss. And we had some inspection service people out there that were dealing with wind mitigation surveys, and these surveys, conducted by licensed Louisiana surveyors, come out and identify wind mitigation features on your home that have not previously been documented. This can often lead to insurance reductions, savings on premium, but it also can give you a source to determine what kinds of upgrades you can make on your house to make it more resilient as hurricanes come. So things like adding hurricane clips, if we can install shutters, if we can replace that roof, if we can look at flat structures, how they can be braced or otherwise secured. So all of those kinds of things, and so many other vendors there.
So what kind of feedback did you receive from attendees and participants during and after the event?
I tell you, it was really busy, especially in the morning. We had a flood of folks that came in. We opened at 10 a.m., and there were people lined up before 10 a.m. just waiting to come in and speak to folks. So it definitely tells us that there's a demand and a need for this kind of information. We see the parishes come out and describe the emergency preparedness activities that they've conducted to ensure that the public is safe and prepared But what we have not seen in the past, and what this event uniquely does, is it brings out local licensed contractors to meet face-to-face with residents so that you can get the name and the number of that licensed person that's doing work in your area, so that when you need them, you don't have to go look to find them. You already have that name and number there. And so that was a great part of what this event did.
So do you feel that Storm Prep 2025 helped move the needle, if at all, in terms of hurricane preparedness for local families?
I think absolutely it did. Those that came had vibrant feedback. It made a lot of news channels. There was a lot of live coverage out there, but almost everybody that attended said they learned something about helping to secure their home, and they learned something about safety in advance of a storm and if they have to stay or return after a storm and deal with recovery.
So, it took a lot to pull together something like this with a broad base of businesses and government agencies. Can you give us an idea of the type of help and support that you had to pull this partnership off, to pull this event off?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, and thanks for that. It takes a lot of people to make something like this happen. We did this event last year as a proof of concept to show that there was demand, and that resulted in Parish President Sheng coming out and visiting with our vendors for nearly an hour, and she saw immediately the value that this kind of event would bring to residents living in our area. So we partnered with Dino Bonanno, the council member, and he brought it to the Jefferson Parish Council, who voted unanimously in support of the event and granted us access to the government building at the Yenny Center in Elmwood, so that we had a nice location with plenty of parking and plenty of space. So we really value the partnership there. That led to Jefferson Parish Emergency Management getting involved and lots of other partners. You know, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security came in and got involved. The Sheriff's Office of JP was there. The Louisiana State Licensing Board came in, Louisiana State Police. We had a blood drive with the Blood Center. The Louisiana Department of Insurance was there to review and talk about the insurance policies that residents hold, and not just the coverage, but also what is the claims process. If you get impacted, what do you need to do, and how do you need to be prepared to make those claims effective? So we had a lot of partners that were out there to help out, in addition to all of the vendors that were providing actual products and services for our residents.
Do you feel like there was anybody who attended who had a situation, a set of situations that you all couldn't respond to and provide some information to on the spot, that, something you haven't seen before, heard about?
Some of the things that come up, we still have folks that are reeling from damages that were incurred during Ida, and Ida has been years past now. Yep. But so many people were left behind, and it's been such a challenge to find ways to help them. The Home Builders Association established a nonprofit several years ago, about 13 years ago, to support Jefferson Parish's outreach on this. So Jefferson Parish has a program where they can help individuals on fixed incomes or otherwise financially in need find solutions to damages, particularly those that are code enforcement damages, those that represent safety issues on their homes. They can qualify them, and then if that resident is qualified, our nonprofit can come in and do the repairs on that home at no cost. Also, Louisiana Restore provides some of those services, but we continue to get questions about repairs from uncovered damages from Ida and from other storms.
Yeah, big bad storm. Dr. White?
Yes.
So I guess I'm still stuck on, Dan, what do we do should FEMA not be available to us? Like, how do we prepare for that? Like, we can get all the batteries and we can get all of the emergency boxes we want to get together, but what do we do if our actual federal government fails to assist us in the event something as catastrophic as a Katrina takes place?
As government services peel back, and we've seen a lot of that in many different fronts, not just construction and residential housing, it does put more of an onus on us personally to try to find ways to protect ourselves individually, and that's the first line of defense. So take a walk around your house, take a look at the home. and say, where are my vulnerabilities? Is this roof 25 years old? So maybe I need to find a way to do that. Let me talk to my bank. If I have a mortgage, the bank doesn't want to see that roof come off and get us stuck with sometimes they can work with you to do maybe an equity loan or something like that to get a roof replaced and protect that, because, we adopted new residential housing codes in Louisiana. They're the best on the Gulf Coast. FEMA recognized us in 5 states having the top code rules for building and construction, and that's the law in Louisiana now. So if we replace a roof, you have to have a secondary water barrier. You have to have ice and water shield around the perimeter. You have to have a new drip edge. You have to have architectural shingles. You have to have ring shank nails. So all of these things mean that when a storm comes, you have a roof that is prepared to resist those 140-mile-an-hour winds and help us to do a better job of not having to have that claim or that emergency support in the first place. Louisiana also has the Fortify program, so it's limited, but it's a lottery, so anyone can register, and if you're selected for the lottery, they will put $10,000 towards putting a fortified roof on your home, and that's been very successful for about 1,500 residences over the last year. So that upfront preparation is important. We're beginning to see our local resources like the Louisiana Fortify program step up and provide support, but it means that we've got to take a closer look at what we have and figure out what we can do to protect it. We've got to be a little more proactive as citizens.
So if someone couldn't attend Storm Prep 2025, what resources or support can the organization offer them right now?
We invite residents to check our website at hbagno.org. That's for Home Builders Association, Greater New Orleans. So hbagno.org, and we have consumer resources on there that can help you identify ways to make your home more resilient, and also ways to hire local licensed contractors, get proper job scopes, and other considerations as you work to get your home more resilient. We strongly recommend residents contact a local licensed surveyor to get a wind mitigation survey, because for just about $300, the wind mitigation surveyor can come out and document already existing wind mitigation features on your home. If you replaced your roof in the last 20 years, you probably have architectural shingles. You may have a hip roof. You might have clips on your roof. If these things haven't been documented, then you are leaving insurance premium on the table. So that wind mitigation survey can go to your insurance carrier. And we see about 75 or 80% of residents saving, in excess of the $300 they spend on that wind mitigation surveyor, and that's money that you save year after year after year. And then also that wind mitigation surveyor can tell the resident, the homeowner, here are some things you can do to protect your home further and ensure that you don't have those claims and those damages in the first place.
So lastly, Dan, how can the public continue to stay informed and connected with HBAGNO on future events or storm prep initiatives?
Our event calendar is up. We offer programming throughout the year. And another opportunity is to see some new homes. We've got a Parade of Homes event coming up in June. It's the weekend of the 21st and the weekend of the 29th. One of the homes that we have in there is just $250,000. It's a brand new home built by Rivet Incorporated. This is an energy efficient home. It's built to the new FEMA approved codes, the most resilient on the Gulf Coast. And it's a beautiful home, about 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. There's an opportunity during the parade. It doesn't cost anything. You come out and see what some of these new homes look like today.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, Mr. Mills, for joining us this morning. If you're just joining us, you missed a conversation with Dan Mills, Chief Executive Officer at Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans, giving us the recap on storm prep and the hurricane season prep for 2025. We appreciate you being here. And if and when you have another event that you want to talk to us about or to better inform us about how to stay safe during hurricane season, please feel free to join us right here at WBOK. We appreciate you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Dr. White.
Thank you. Have a good one. Look, we're gonna go to break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about the news, state, local, and national news. We're gonna get into that and a whole lot more right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Muggy and dry start, highs in the low 90s, but feeling like the upper 90s with mostly sunny skies. There's a slight chance for an afternoon shower. These will be hit or miss. Lows tonight in the 70s and mostly clear. Friday's highs are in the low 90s, but feeling like 100 in some spots. Another chance for spotty afternoon showers. More heat for the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Morning show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wire. Shout out to my super producer, Nara Sanders.
Nara.
And my co-pilot this morning, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
Look, if you're just joining us, you missed a dynamic show this morning. We had Lance Robert Jr. He's a 16-year-old publisher of a poetry book entitled Untitled. He is also a mentor for the 100 Black Men of America organization. You know, each and every Thursday is Congressman Troy Carter Thursdays here. So you missed the conversation with our congressman talking about the insanity of our current administration. We love to pick the brain of our congressman because we have a front row seat to all of the information that we don't get to see right here at our local level. And then we also had a conversation with Dan Mills, Chief Executive Officer at Home Builders Association, talking about storm prep in the as we prepare for hurricane season 2025. But right now, we're getting ready to jump into some news, and there's some things happening on a local level that we want to discuss. I'm an educator, so, you know, there's always a good time to talk about education. And there is an effort to consolidate some schools because the district is continuing in their effort to right-size the district. So the New Orleans Charter School a New Orleans Charter School has agreed to merge campuses as the district looks to downsize. And those schools or that organization is Community Academies of New Orleans, also known as KENO. It will move Esperanza Academy out of the Crossman Elementary School building on South Carrollton Avenue, which is a historic building that needs costly repairs, according to the district. Esperanza will be merged with KENO's other school, Foundation Prep Academy, to form one school with two campuses. Esperanza Foundational, serving grades pre-K to 4, will be based at 3121 St. Bernard Avenue, and Esperanza Middle with grades 5 through 8 will be housed at 3201 Live Oak. The middle school will add dual language programs so that Esperanza students can study Spanish and English across all grade levels. I'm almost getting into a space where I no longer care to comment on education in this city or this state, because it really matters not what we think should happen. It matters not what the right thing is. Nobody listens to expertise here. If they don't listen to Senator Dr. Joseph Bowie, certainly I don't have no room to be espousing my views, because nobody's listening, because nobody cares. As long as black children will continue to be disserviced in these schools, nobody cares. Because for me, I have a couple of questions about it. The article says the move follows several closures and consolidations in recent years as schools facing enrollment declines. First Line closed Live Oak Academy, Inspire NOLA combined Pierre Capdeau Charter School and McDonald 42 Elementary School. Collegiate Academies Network took over Walter R. Cohen Prep and merged it with Rosenwald High School, and Mildred Osborne Charter School and Achille Academy in New Orleans relinquished their charters and formed a new school at Mildred Osborne's Kenilworth campus under Crescent City Schools umbrella. And see, this is where the misinformation and disinformation comes, because see that last statement, they tried it, because the last statement about Achille Academy and Mildred Osborne in New Orleans relinquishing their charters and formed a new school at Mildred Osborne Kenilworth. What actually happened is Crescent City was allowed to merge two failing schools and take a new charter off the shelf to form a new charter. That is not the difference. That's not the same as merging schools to downsize to save costs. Like, stop playing in our faces. I said it here multiple times when that happened. They were allowed, but you could close Martin Luther King. You can close the Arthur Ashe School. Like, I just don't understand how we allow these things to happen and nobody says anything about it. And then we have articles written and folk don't fact check the stuff that they're writing about, because that is not the truth. They did not merge those schools to downsize. They merged those two schools because both of them were failing. And so that you can save the idea that you're not a failure, they allowed her, Kate Mihawk, to pull a charter off the shelf and start a whole new organization. That's what happened. So we're not going to act as if the same thing that Inspire NOLA did with merging the schools to help downsize and save money fiscally, it's the same thing that you allow Kate Mihawk to do over at Crescent Cities, because it's not the same. And this is why I no longer care to have opinions about education in this city, about these charter schools, because people are going to do what they want, and then they have the media to write what they want and make it sound like they're doing the right thing by children. I'm just going to abstain from the conversations unless I'm talking to Senator Dr. Joseph Bowie or somebody that really actually wants to talk about kids not being able to read in the city of New Orleans. Because again, it brings me back to Tulane University and them putting out this report acting as if these charter schools are doing such a glowing job in the city. And as long as we have people like that putting information like that out, the families will never know the truth about the schools, and the kids will continue to decline, and the kids will continue to not be able to read. Because when I look at a Lance Robert Jr. and I look at what is happening for him in California and all the wonderful things he's doing because schools are actually schools, it makes me depressed about what is happening about our kids in the city of New Orleans. And I mean, and if we don't have media to rely on to tell us the truth about what's going on, because I can remember when Channel 6, by way of Gina Swanson, was doing a story on the truth about the schools, her project was halted. She couldn't tell the truth about the schools. And the part that she did tell, it actually won an award. So it seems to me like folk want to know the truth, but the powers that be and the people who control the purse continues to suppress the truth, and that's why our kids can't read. That's why 100% of them are graduating. That's why most of them can't do remedial math, and that's why most of them don't get college degrees, because we continue to pull a wool over people's eyes and lie. And so that's all I have to say on that, Will. You can welcome to jump in, because I am jumping in. I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in. More to say.
The WBOK talk line is 504-582-9422. WBOK talk line 504-582-9422. I want you to call, and I want you to call right now, because this is not acceptable, Dr. White.
No, it's far from acceptable. It's far from acceptable.
May I have a moment?
Sure.
May I have a moment?
Mm-hmm. You can have a lot of moments.
Your voice your work, your experience is too important for us not to hear your perspective. We need to hear your perspective. We need to hear the questions that others aren't asking. We need to hear the context based on what you know without lifting a finger, pulling up a Google search, pulling up your phone, or asking somebody. And we need to hear that, especially right now, as we head into the season of 20 years of Katrina. One of the most important things, important in quotes, that happened in that process 20 years ago was the impact on our education. Whoever, I was just telling this to somebody yesterday, they know that I live here. They know that I'm from here. I can't talk to anybody who doesn't live here, who isn't from here. When you talk about Katrina, it's two things. It's the Lower Ninth Ward, and how is that experiment working with charter schools? That's what they want to know.
Well,
I mean, Katrina
is not working.
Katrina is gonna be recognized in the weeks to come, leading into late August, and it's important to use this opportunity to look at education and not just say it was this then and it is this now. We need to look at how we got here, and we need to, if there's some good things about how we got here and where we are, we can look at Tulane Report or anybody else's report and show us the good things and show us those facts. But we also need to look at the facts of where there are failures. If we got amazing graduation rates, and you know the numbers, I don't, and 70% of children can't read, that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable, and we have lost a generation, but we can't sit still and continue to watch this happen. We have to fix the parts that we can fix, and we need to hear from you. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422.
How do you fix anything when folk won't tell the truth, and then when the truth is being told by the people who are experts in the field, like Senator Dr. Joseph Bowie, and he gets ignored for a person like Caroline Roma Shirley, who has absolutely no basis in education, doesn't understand what a good school should look like because they've never been a part of schooling children. I don't know how we've acquiesced to incompetence in this country. If I want to know about anything medical, I'm going to go to a medical doctor who is trained, who is educated, who understands what good medical advice, sound advice is. I'm not going to a Robert Kennedy asking about medical advice. I'm not doing it. He's not a doctor. He doesn't understand what's going on, but we have gotten to a point in this country where folk who have no understanding of what their job is supposed to be actually being the heads of these environments where kids' lives actually depend on what they don't know. This is insane to me, and we allow these journalists to write articles, and we're looking at the article and expecting the information to be truthful, and we're expecting it to be based in some sort of empirical data, and it's not. It's not. And for Tulane to continue to be the house where all of the charter information is, we have to start asking ourselves, what dog do they have in the fight to continue to put this information out, knowing 70% of children can't read in this city. 60% of them suffer from trauma that nobody's trying to address. And then all we want to do is throw our kids out of school and then lock them up in jails, and nobody talks about it. And I'm frustrated because you see a child like Lance come up in here at 16 years old, publishing books, been at the New York Stock Exchange, and we're supposed to celebrate that while the rest of our children just fall by the wayside and nobody gives a damn about what's happening to them. That's a problem for me. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of us putting people on school boards that have no basis in education. I'm sick of us electing individuals that tell us what they're going to do. Then when they get in there, they do everything but what they say they're going to do. It's sickening to me, and I'm tired of it. And one thing I don't like, which is why my blood pressure is high right now, don't play in my face. Don't play in my face, because I see it all. I pick up on it all, and I'm not here for it. I'm not going to let nobody play in my face. I don't care who you are. And understand something. Wherever children are concerned, I'm going to say something. If you don't like it, don't listen. But this is sad. For us to see this child, a 16-year-old child whose family is rooted in New Orleans, going to California and doing all of these wonderful things, coming back to New Orleans to talk about all of the wonderful things he's doing in the environment where the children are suffering because adults are betraying kids up in this city. Adults are doing it. And then the people who have access to the information are being ignored. The people who have the expertise are being blocked out. And meanwhile, the folk who are pillaging our communities and making millions of dollars on a backs of miseducating black children, that's who we put in articles talking about this is what they're trying to do to make the environment better. Y'all want to right size the districts because y'all done so wrong by kids. That's sad. That's why we got to right size it, because everything about it is wrong. Everything about it is wrong. And I'm angry about it. I'm going to continue to be angry about it. And here's the thing. I don't even have a dog in the fight because my son is doing phenomenal. My son is doing well. He graduated at the top of his class. I don't have to worry about where my child is going to be educated and what they're doing in the schools. But if I only cared about my child, then who am I as a person? Where's the humanity in only caring about your child? This is insane to me what they're allowing to happen. And then you could close Martin Luther King, but you can give these failing charters the opportunity to merge failure and start again. That's what we're doing. But nobody's trying to help the little black school down there in the Ninth Ward. But we could tell these folk, oh, you could take this failure and this failure, put it together and start a new failure. It's insane what's happening. But you see, I get labeled as being aggressive and abrasive and loud, you know. But tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm wrong. I'm disgusted. That's what I am. Disgusted, T-Bone. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. I appreciate your fire. If nobody else tell you that, I'm going to tell you that as a parent and as somebody that's worked in different school systems down here, I always appreciate your fire behind trying to make this city do better for these kids. And I can relate to everything that you're saying because as a parent, I've seen it. As somebody that's worked in the school systems, I've seen it. And it really is pathetic. It really is. And see, I'm not even putting my angry voice on. I'm telling you facts. I'm telling you how it is. But here's the unfortunate thing, Doc. You might get mad with me for saying this.
I won't. I promise.
Here's the solution. It's going to sound so simple, but it's going to get somebody mad with me saying this. Are you ready?
I am.
Yep.
The people that vote have to change this. We can holler about it. We can hoop and holler. We can get mad as a leprechaun who's had his gold stolen in front of City Hall, in the city council meetings, in the school board meetings. But until the majority of the voters, the same way, every time I vote, seems like 2-3 months later, I'm getting called for jury duty, which I kind of abhor. I'm just going to keep that to myself. But I do it because it needs to get done. And that's the attitude I walk into work with. That's the attitude I walk into the voting poll with. Stop voting for these people just because you've heard of them. Look at their platform. Look at what they really have done and what they intend to do. Now, if they have a history of saying they're going to do this, but they do something else over here, why are you voting for them? Why? Just because, I know who that is, such and such. I didn't vote for him before, baby. It's not good enough no more. You know why? Because we're a sinking ship in terms of education down here. And every year, we hit another iceberg. While the other people is off on the good ship, we're just sitting on the old ship sinking. Stop. Stop voting for these people by name only. Understand what they're going to do. Understand what they're about. And vote like that, people. For God's sake. Vote like that. Stop voting like you don't have a sense in your head.
Do you think we have enough people?
Don't make sense.
Do you think we have enough people who care enough about educating our youth voting?
Well, let me go back to the jury duty thing. There's people that go out and vote all the time, but what they do, and I've noticed this, and I've worked on campaigns with people, they vote by name only. They don't read the platform. They don't listen to what's on the debates. They vote by name only. Brother OT, I love you, bro. You came up with my uncle, but let me tell you something. People are going to vote strictly because it's OT, and they know his name. But ask him what his platform is. Majority of the voters don't know. They're gonna vote for Helena Moreno because they've heard of her name, but they don't know what she's going to represent. They don't know what her plans, her intended plans are as mayor of this city will be. J.P. Pomero, same thing. You have people that will vote for Harry Lee. Now, how long Harry Lee been dead, y'all?
Long
if
enough
you
to
stick
stay
Harry
dead.
Lee, if you stick Harry Lee on the ballot right now
They
for
gonna vote
Jefferson
for him.
Parish,
They
I
gonna vote for him.
guarantee, like Justin Wilson used to say, I guarantee somebody's going to vote for Harry Lee. And the man been dead.
Look, T-Bone,
That's what
I'm with
people
you,
do.
and I appreciate you. I promise you I do. And you know, I am so livid right now. I cannot get away from this being about my children. Because this man, Doug Harris, is quoted as saying, this is one of the largest and most sustained improvements in urban education that we've seen. That's what he said.
Not from where
And
I
the kids
sit, and I'm
can't
a
read.
parent. Not from where I sit, and I'm a parent with a child still in the school system and pissed off with it. See, you got my jack girl up. See,
I'm hot.
Because I have, and I've said it many times on this station. I have a son dealing with a disability. I am scared to death of what his future is going to look like because this school system down here has failed. They haven't gotten him to talk. They haven't worked on him with communication skills. He has an IEP, a federally recognized document that indicates he needs assistive technology. The school has never provided him. I've had to come out of pocket and provide it. Have they gotten anybody to train him on it? No. Have they put anybody in front of him to teach him sign language? No. See, that's my frustration right there. I could go on, but I don't have time. But if I go at people the wrong way, like John Q style, I'm wrong.
I appreciate
Anyway,
you, T-Bone. We're going to keep
that's
talking
my
about
2
it,
cents,
and I
y'all.
hope you keep listening.
All
I
right.
appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you for calling. Thank you.
I'm looking at this. I just don't understand how everybody is just not up in arms. And for me, I'm waiting on the day that parents get the energy like the nurses have when they don't like them contracts that they're trying to overwork them and underpay them. I'm waiting on that sort of energy because I think that is the only thing that is going to make these people tell the truth about this system and make these people do right by our kids is we stop feeding our kids to the broken system. I'm so sick of the lies. And I don't understand how there's no checks and balances for the things that are being said and then they're being published and then people are using them in other publications. And then the lie is multiplying itself. This is sick to me. And it really rattles me to see a child. I love the fact that I got the opportunity to talk to Lance Robert Jr. because it underscores everything we're not doing for our kids in the state of Louisiana, particularly in the city of New Orleans. It underscores that. How somebody could be 16 on PAT to 6 associate degrees and our kids can't read on grade level. He going to the New York Stock Exchange and some of our kids ain't passed I-10. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the lies. And it is just so crazy because they use school board races to launch their actual political careers to want to go sit on a city council. And then they add a mayor seat. And then they want to be state reps, all off the backs of black children. It sickens me what is happening here. And then every time you find a grassroots candidate that actually cares about the community, cares about the children, want to do right by the system, want to do right by its people, you can't even collect $5 to help you get a yard sign. Because in this city, the money and power crowns the king. And I'm just so sick of it. All of it. All of it. I don't care what nobody talking about. Because ain't nobody telling the truth about nothing. Our kids can't read. And I'm waiting on somebody with their journalistic integrity that write these articles to also put that in the article. You're saying the schools are doing so well? Well, why can't the kids read on grade level? 100% of them are graduated, but you ain't talking about the cohort they started with. The 50, 60, 70 kids y'all left behind. It makes me ill. There's a report right now out about a 18-year-old boy. I was his middle school principal. He had brain surgery at 14, and the schools threw him out. The schools threw him out. So he went to the street, and now he in Angola on a 25-year sentence at 18 years old. And y'all want to tell me about the system working? Man, y'all can miss me. I'm tired. I'm not giving my opinion about nothing. I'm just gonna, if Dr. Joseph Bowie want to have a conversation on air, I'm gonna have it. But don't pick my brain about nothing about schools and kids, because y'all don't care. Y'all listen to Doug Harris at Tulane University and allow him to tell you what's going on in your community when you know your child can't read. But you're going to let him tell you that this is the biggest improvement that they've ever seen. The lies. I'm sick of it. I have to go to break. I need some water. I need Ansel Augustine to pray for me. Pray for me, sir. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the hypocrisy of the national government right here on WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good Thursday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Breaking from overnight, New Orleans firefighters battling a blaze inside a 14-story apartment complex in the Central Business District. It happened around 12:30 this morning at the intersection of Gravier and Barone Streets. Officials say 135 residents were safely evacuated from that building, which sustained water damage on several floors. Investigators say the blaze started on the 7th floor after food was left unattended on the stove. The Coast Guard and other agencies canvassed the Mississippi River around West Wego in search of a missing worker. We're told Rico Williams fell off a barge into the river on Tuesday night. Officials believe Williams was not wearing a life jacket. This is the second time in a little over a month that a worker has gone into the Bear River. Darius Clement was said to have been seen last in a barge and has not been found since. And drinking water concerns are overflowing for people in parts of New Orleans. This after the Sewerage and Water Board issued a notice to some residents in the Irish Channel warning the water quality has been compromised since the January freeze. Now, the Sewerage and Water Board says they received a violation notification on April 22nd from the Louisiana Health Department and published a notification on the paper within 2 weeks. Leaders say people do not need to boil their water at this time. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge. with Rise.
Accrue NOLA is transforming how professionals connect and grow. Join them for Fed by Accrue, a community networking celebration that honors both Juneteenth and Pride Month while celebrating the power of diverse voices in business. This isn't a typical networking. Accrue has created a safe, inclusive space where genuine connections lead to meaningful collaborations. On Thursday, June 19th, innovators from across the greater New Orleans area and the Gulf South will gather at the lab on Ursulines Ave for purposeful conversation with industry leaders and authentic relationship building that advances your professional career and business growth. Accrue connects you with established industry leaders and emerging entrepreneurs who share practical insight and business resources. These connections translate into real opportunities for career advancement and business growth. Come join a community where authenticity meets opportunity, where diverse perspectives drive innovation, and where meaningful partnerships are built to last. Fed by Accrue, Thursday, June 19th from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. at the lab, 2600 Ursulines Ave. Learn more and join the community at accruenola.com/RSVP.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashant Sawaya. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders, and my co-pilot this morning, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning.
So now that I'm calm, let me tell you what I was talking about on the break to Will. Because his little cousin visited the studio this morning. He's a 16-year-old publisher of his first poetry book entitled Untitled. And I was sharing with Will that it bothers me that we act like Lance Robert Jr. has to be some sort of outlier. He can be the rule and not the exception here in the city of New Orleans if we actually applied the things to our children that they deserve, like a strong community, like a parent base that supports them. We talk about university-trained educators to pour into them. We're talking about access, like in support of something like the 100 Black Men of America. If we actually gave all of that to every child in the city of New Orleans, you're not going to tell me we're not going to come up fast. But the reason why our kids are so broken, because we have none of that here. We have none of that here. We don't have a school system that work. The homes are not intact because everybody fighting for survival. Their mama can't be at the parent conference because she trying to work to make the ends meet. Because she ain't making a living with it, so she got to get 2 jobs to amount to what 1 job could do. That's what's happening here. We like to pretend like our children are the worst of the worst and it's just no redeeming them. No, our systems are the worst of the worst. We feed our kids poison and we wonder why they sick. I'm tired of playing this rigmarole game with people who act like they don't know the truth about what's going on. And then every time you hear them talk about me, Will, they like to talk about, oh, she louder than I am. And I'm not making no apologies about it. Because if you want me to be quiet, do better by my kids. If you want me not to raise my voice, do better by my kids. That's all. Because please understand, prior to the theft of Charles J. Southall, y'all didn't know me because I was quietly working. And it wasn't until my kids were disserviced that I got loud about it. That's all. But I've always been advocating like this in every school I've ever worked at. Somebody could tell you a story about me pushing back against the system because that's who I am. It just was magnified when it was all over the news because I was fighting a perpetual thief who had a whole bunch of political connections. That's why you think I'm loud. But when I was in my little corner of the world minding my business, nobody knew who I was.
Quietly loud.
Quietly loud. Because I was always doing this work. Right? And then y'all messed around and put a microphone in front of me. So you think I'm not going to amplify the struggles of my community and my children on this Black radio station? I want all of these Black elite people to stand up. All of these well-to-do Black folk. I wonder where y'all stand on a disservice of poor Black children. That's what I want to know. I wonder when Tulane University putting out this information, if y'all get together and say, well, who can we go to put out some research about what's really happening to black children in the city of New Orleans? I wonder if we do that. I wonder why we can't do that. Why we can't pool our resources and make sure the same story that they trying to tell, which we know is a lie, we tell the real story with our real money. Why we can't do that? I am so disgusted about the state of education in the city of New Orleans. But the fact that we're using education in New Orleans as some sort of exemplar for how to educate black children, because I want to read the quote again. This is one of the largest and most sustained improvements in urban. You know what urban is? What is it, Mr. National Association of Broadcast Journalists? What's urban another word for?
They mean black.
Okay, then. This is one of the largest and most sustained improvements in black education that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, the white children are participating in the experiment. You know that, right? By and large, the white children are excluded from the experiment, aren't they? Because they're tucked away in the better schools where all that real money is going to, where those university educated teachers are, right? Because the teachers that are interfacing with the white children have probably neuroscience degrees teaching chemistry. You don't have nobody that was selling drawers at Victoria's Secret writing the ELA curriculum in the schools where those white babies are, do you? But you have them in the schools where the black children are. I wonder why. But as soon as you start talking about race, people want to talk, all you want to talk about is race. So everything is about race. Everything. This is one of the largest and most sustained. If it's so sustained, why they don't want to give my doctor, Senator Joseph Boyd, that report? Because if it's sustained, that means it's over a period of time, right? Where is the report that tells me that? Where is the data? Where is it? Because if the data is sound, then it could be replicated. I should be able to go in and do the same thing you did with the same population of children, with the same variables, and get the same outcome. Should I not?
Yep. Race and politics.
Huh?
Race and politics.
I'm just trying to understand why in this black city, with all this black leadership, black children are doing so bad and we letting a white man tell us how good they doing. What? I want the HBCUs to stand up and give me some data. I want you to tell me what's going on with my children. Why is it that our kids can't read? Why is it that the kids are carjacking and killing, begging to go to Angola? Why? Why they not fighting that hard to stay in our schools? They doing everything to get locked up, but they ain't doing nothing to stay in your school. What's going on here? I'm disgusted and I'm perturbed and I'm mad about a whole lot of things, but I'm mad that we have all of this expertise. We have psychologists that are black. We have doctors of education who are black. We have teachers who are master teachers that are black, but we're going to go and get Doug Harris out of the Education Research Alliance for New Orleans, because that's where the research comes from.
Yep.
To tell us that this is one of the largest and most sustained improvements in urban education that we've seen. I wonder if he's talking to the families down there at Martin Luther King.
There's a but or an and?
Ain't no but. That's a full stop, period. Close quotations. I know the parents at Martin Luther King not a part of this most sustained improvement that's going on. Because we get to close our black schools in the middle of the school year and tell the black children, find your way into a different school, and then you go to another failing school. We let a white lady merge two failing schools and make a whole new school to continue failing black children. But we supposed to be quiet about it. I guess if I actually did listen to what Massa said and stay in my place and stay on the plantation and pick that cotton, now everybody will be getting along with me. But because I don't like the cotton field and I want to be outside, liberate my people, it's a problem. Y'all gonna get up out my face because I ain't scared of nobody and nothing. And if I want to say it, I'm gonna say it. And if you got a problem with it, so be it. Do right by black children, and this black lady might actually calm down. Full stop, close quotation marks.
Well, let's see what happens. We got HBCUs.
We do. What they talking
about?
And
we got researchers.
What they doing?
Dillard University does the economic impact study for the Essence Festival. So we know we got people who can do this work. So,
but we know that there's a whole bunch of power brokers who are controlling the narrative about education, and they're not allowing black researchers to tell the truth in this black city, right? They're not allowed. Because if you want to continue to get that funding, Dillard University, you better not touch this education thing. You want that funding, Xavier University, you better not touch this education thing. They're not allowed to tell the truth. I've seen students writing dissertations have to change their topic because they don't want them to talk about a thing. I know this for a fact, right, Will? Why is that? But you let Doug Harris say what he want to say and publish it and then put it all over the country like New Orleans is doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll let you say what you want to
All
say.
right. Well,
the lies.
We want Mr. Harris to come.
We do.
We want him to come.
We do.
So,
and bring your research
see.
with you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I got Will.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
So I'm looking forward to that?
I am.
But when he comes on, let me tell you the caveat. When he comes on, Senator Dr. Joseph Bowie is also going to come on because we're going to have a full, robust conversation. We're not going to let you have one-sided narrative going on up in here. We're going to have Dr. Bowie because he also published something about the state of education in New Orleans. So we're going to let the experts have it, right?
That'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be a great show.
Y'all stay tuned up next for the Front Porch with Graylin and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-pilot, Will Sutton. We're going to see y'all tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.